In Africa's fast-growing tech ecosystem, startups are building, they are raising funds and scaling. Behind this success is what is called product design. However, can a poor product design affect a startup? Can poorly designed products affect users? Can poorly designed products also impact your chase for funding? These are some of the topics we want to discuss in today's episode of TechEconomy podcast. And we have an important guest in the studio who has over 8 years experience as a product designer. Lucky is an AI-driven product design leader with over 8 years experience building digital products across fintech, mobility, gaming, media, and productivity. His work sits at a rare intersection, designing experiences that are intuitive for human beings and legible to machines. AI agents, automation systems, and intelligent tools become the primary interface between products and people. Lucky believes that great design must speak two languages. One is the emotional language of human experience and the structural language that machines understand. Currently developing CopyUp, a smart productivity tool that organizes everything users copy in real time. A product born from his obsession with reducing friction in how people work and think. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to today's episode of the TechEconomy TV podcast. And we have in our studio an experienced product designer by name Lucky Ekezie. Lucky, you're welcome to the studios.
Thank you.
Today we're looking at one important aspect of startup development, which is product design. And in product design, I want to start by looking at what do you think is the cost of overlooking product design, especially at the beginning of a startup?
Right. The cost is a whole lot. All right. Yeah. And the bad part is that it's invisible until it's too late. All right. So I've seen startups raise funding, in thousands and millions of dollars, and somehow their product didn't make it. All right. And what they do is they go to revisit their marketing plan, which is okay. All right. They go to revisit their business model, which is okay. But they are forgetting one thing, and which is the product experience. All right. Because in their mind, they feel like, design is what you see and not how it works. All right. Or how it looks and not how it works. All right. And that is actually a big problem. Yeah. So once they overlook that product experience, it becomes a problem. All right. But once they fix their experience, I think that is a starting point for them to actually increase or decrease their bounce rates. All right. So, and by bounce rates, I'm going to explain it a bit. If you come to a website or a digital product and you don't know what to do, or maybe you know what to do, but then there is no proper way for you to do it. You just close it and say, okay, I'll come back later. Yeah, that's bounce rate. All right, that's bounce. So the product bounced you. And in most cases, you might not come back. All right. Yeah. So for a product to actually have a decreased bounce rate, it must have a very good experience for the user. All right. It must welcome the user properly.
So you've mentioned something that is quite, important to us. To moving it further, what do you see as the mistakes that startups are making, which they must, curb if they're going to move forward, especially to stop this bounce rate?
Right. First thing is, okay, let's say, for instance, you are, or you have an idea and you have a funding, all right? So let's say you want to make the next fintech app to combat maybe OPay, all right? Yeah, so now you're not really a tech person, but then you have the money, you have the idea. So you're going to hire tech people to do it, all right? So let's say you hire a product designer, all right? Now, some founders, what they do is they make the product designers design what they want, right? And that is a very big mistake, because at the end of the day, they're going to design what you want and the product you can navigate, but then it's going to be a very foreign product to the end users. And the end goal of you having a product is to make sure that it gets to the end users, all right? That is one. Then two, they don't invest in user research, all right? If you have an idea that you want to put out there in the market, all right, make sure you have you go to talk to your users or your potential users. All right. So you do a user research, understand their pain points, do a market research and all that. So most founders, they neglect these two things and it's a problem.
For a startup that is looking for investment and they want to see how to get investors, what do you think is the difference between a product that is good and a product that is investor ready?
Okay, a product that is good is a product that has good user interface that a founder can easily pitch to an investor and get money. All right. An investor ready product is a product that actually solves the problem of users. And if I'm new into investing, all right, I might go for a clean product with clean aesthetics and UI, all right. But people in YC or Y Combinator in San Francisco and all that, they have gone past, that stage. I've been funding people for more than 10 years, all right. Yeah, so they know products that can actually hit the market and, as in and penetrate the market, all right. So they look past the beautiful UIs, all right. Then they look at how your experience, how the user experience is going to affect the users, how a user can actually navigate the product with ease, all right, starting from the onboarding.
A poor design, can affect trust
Sure,
among users.
sure.
So when this happens, what is going to be the greater impact on the product itself?
When users don't trust your product, the product won't fly. It won't fly. But when users trust your product, you have users, or you have the first set of users who use your product, and it easily markets itself with a word of mouth. All right. So the word of mouth marketing, as we know, is more like one of the best forms of marketing. All right. So if I use a product and it's good, I tell you about it, you tell another person about it. It goes like that. So the company or the startup founders invest less in marketing. Yeah.
Okay, so why, let's bring it home. Why do African founders, startups, need to pay attention to product design, especially in our environment at the time of AI? We have our peculiarities. Why do they need to pay attention to product design?
As much as I encourage my students to copy, all right, so to copy products
And make it better.
is good, but then adapting, so when you copy, you make it better, all right. As in Africa is more like we are trying to catch up, all right. So let's say you are building a fintech product, all right. You don't use a fintech product that works in San Francisco or in London and bring it to this place, all right. From the user interface, from the user experience, it's going to be so alien to the Africans, all right, to people in Lagos, to people in Ibadan or Owerri, all right, because one, over there in London, they have good networks, they have everything, all right, but here in Africa, if you don't adapt the product to fit to the African users, all right, it's going to fail. So by adaptation, you're going to consider that, okay, we need to put a USSD feature so that even with our poor internet, we can still make simple transactions. Yeah, that is one. All right. Two, we need to reduce we need to optimize the application to make sure that even with a 2G network, it works. All right. Yeah, something like that.
Okay, so have you seen a startup that's had a kind of a maybe 360-degree change, turnaround after improving on their design?
Very much well, very much well. I'm going to give an instance with one of the products I designed far back as 2021, 2022. All right, it's called Box Cab. Yeah, it's a ride-hailing app. All right, so we started off in Lagos, but then we moved to Calabar because it's one of the decisions of the stakeholders and all that. All right, so when the product was brought to my table, all right, first of all, it was done by some other people, all right, and they needed a revamp in the user experience and the user interface, all right. So we began with proper user research, all right. There's already existing products like that. Okay, there's Bolt, there's Uber, there's InDrive and all. So, but the most dominant, as in I'll say, ride-sharing app in the city then was Bolt. All right. Now we needed to get the pain points of the users. what they are experiencing in both that they like and what they don't like,
Yeah.
and how we can improve on those pain points. All right. So we gathered our user research. We made sure that we implemented solutions to the pain points into our designs. And right now, Boss Cab is flying in Calabar, and they are looking to expand to Uyo and other cities.
So if I want us to expand this conversation, why must African, product designers or founders or startups, be cautious about adapting or using over-the-shelf solutions, to implement in this part of the world, in our continent or in our countries, especially in this era of AI. Why should we be cautious about the things we just buy and adapt and then use?
It's very important that we are cautious because of, again, the users. All right. So, like everything we do, we need to look at our environment.
Yeah.
Yes. And we need to understand what is native to us, what is actually our problem, what solution we're actually bringing to the people in our environment. All right. Because, like, if you're going to make a product, like, even within Nigeria,
Yeah.
all right, now we are going to make a product for all Nigerians. You need to, like, look at the cities. The problem of Lagosians might not be the problem of people in Uyo.
So even locally, you have to adapt even locally.
You need to adapt locally. You understand? So now there are applications abroad, let's say in London, that once you are done buying something, all right, you just use your phone and you place it side by side with another phone and it pays. All right.
That is NFC payments.
Something like that. All right. But then if you bring that solution to Nigeria, it might work in some cities. It might not work. All right. So we need to still use what we are capable of doing here to solve our problems. All right. Yes. So because if you want to implement that solution here, all right, you have copied something that is very good. All right. But then you might want to do that thing here and the network is not available at that moment and it becomes a problem.
Wow.
Yeah.
So are global AI companies are kind of paying attention what's happening in Africa, and also just like you have mentioned that we need to pay attention about our own products. Do you think that Africa is capable of designing products that can even sell to the world instead of just adapting what other people? Because we live in this economy, digital economy. We are looking at how to break away from just being consumers to becoming producers, manufacturers.
Yes.
So how can we go into that route?
Africa has the workforce to do it. They have the brains, they have the manpower. Everything is very available here. All right. So what we just need to do is study our environment. All right. Study our environment, know our needs, and make sure that our AI engineers and our product designers come together to make AIs and products that are adaptable here. All right, products that we can use, products that are native to us, especially in language. All right. Now, if you see most AI models, it's in English.
Yes, I was coming to that.
Yes.
If it's some of those products, if they have in the corporate African language.
The international products like the AI models, they are trying. Recently Google is investing in languages. I think Microsoft too.
Yes.
All right, they are investing. They are trying.
Yes.
All right, but there is still work to be done. Africa alone has more than 2,000 languages.
Yeah.
How do we reconcile that? So, but then when you have African engineers and designers who are building for Africa, all right. So even in Nigeria alone, we have more than 200 languages, all right. But when we come together, we can actually make AI models that are native to us, all right. There are AI models that speak Yoruba, that speak Igbo, but then they don't sound very native. Yeah, because like if you hear a Yoruba person speak,
yeah,
this person is a Yoruba person.
Yes.
If you hear a white person speaking Yoruba,
you know the difference.
Exactly. Same with other languages, Igbo and all that.
Yes.
Right. So, but then when AI models that are trained in Africa, with our intonation and everything is done by Africans, you will see a clear difference.
But people argue, say that even our accent, our English accent sometimes doesn't align with the white man's accent.
Yeah, because I mean, we Africans, you understand?
Yes.
It happens everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, an Indian man's accent
It's different.
is different. You understand? Yeah. So
Yeah.
it happens everywhere.
So what you're saying is that you have to take cognizance of our own language when you're designing, so that you incorporate our own language when you're designing.
Yes, yes. As in, even aside the language too, I would say more like the look and feel too matters. All right, and also adaptability. All right, there are some AI models that when, let's say, you are looking for something on quantum physics, all right, and the AI model have given you details and maybe created a PDF on the side.
Yes.
Yes. So some of them, once you log off, or let's say you put off your internet, yeah, it goes blank and tells you that you should retry, or maybe you should put on your internet for the whole thing to show and all that. But that stuff was designed from the Western culture.
Yes.
Yeah. But then here in Nigeria or in Africa, if we actually design AI models that work, with our locality and adapt to our locality, I don't think such thing will be a problem, because sometimes we want to minimize our internet. You understand? Then we put it off and want to just read.
Yes.
All right. So if we design stuff like that, we can actually make that very easy for us. So once we put off the internet, you can still access the whole thing, without the whole thing going off. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to come to that. Dear listener, I hope you're enjoying the conversation. What we're having here is something that is dear to us, because everything we do, everything that goes out there, first of all, a product designer is behind it. And Lucky is telling us some things we need to do as Africans while we're adapting, or while we are copying. We should also make sure that we incorporate the thing that will make the users to feel relaxed. I was coming to ask this question about coming to, for instance, in the area of fintech. When you're designing for fintechs, you made mention about incorporating USSD, which is 2 generation technology, second generation technology, and it's kind of, the requirement for internet is low. For that, we see people using feature phones to do some transactions. I'm more expanding that conversation. How can African founders make sure that when you're designing, design for people with low internet accessibility, so internet penetration. Today, CBN is still pushing for its financial inclusion. The FINA report is telling us that you still have more than 25% of Nigerians who are yet to be financially included, and in terms of access and availability of services, and most of them because of internet. But if we go to the other side, NCC will tell you that teledensity is increasing, adoption is increasing. But how do you marry the two? They show that the products coming from different startups or companies, there's this marriage of the design fitting and making sure that those who have low internet are incorporated.
All right. I've designed a fintech product myself.
Okay, that's great. So you can tell us, you're one that I had the experience to share.
Exactly.
To tell us more about this.
Yeah, exactly. So, and we incorporated these things, and one of the ways to make sure that everybody is included, all right, people who have low internet access and all that are included, is, you try to make sure that they can easily access the product even without internet.
Yes.
Some banks will tell you dial *9 this hash and all that. All right, you don't require internet for that. All right. So once you include that in your product, you have already at least solved part of an internet problem for people who still want to make transaction. All right. Also, you optimize the product in a way that is not heavily reliant on internet. All right. There are some products that even with a little internet access, at least you can access the homepage. All right, you can perform some simple tasks and all that. All right, and they don't. Okay, I see some products. I see some fintech products. I don't want to mention names.
Right?
I see some fintech products. From their onboarding, there is there's a video loading. I mean, they're trying to show some things that they do in the banks and all that, which is okay. all right? But then that stuff is data consuming.
At that level of onboarding.
Onboarding, so we are trying to welcome the user into the product.
It should be as simple as possible.
It should be very simple. There is no, like very, very simple. All right, with their thumbprint, everything, just or with their face, whatever. Understand? You just assess them, and they are into the product. All right. Yeah. So I'm not saying you shouldn't check for security and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then just make sure that anything that will make this product lag or buffer for a very long time is eradicated.
Do you think that's why some of these nano banks are doing better than the commercial banks or the big banks or the legacy banks in terms of onboarding of customers? Because when you hear that this FanPay is 35 million users, OPay is these millions of users and rest of them, but see banks are still trying to get people onboarded. Do you think that's product design is part of the reasons we're having some of these guys doing better?
It's a key factor. As in, I laughed initially when you asked the question because I had that in mind.
Yes.
Yeah. But we're not here to attack anybody.
No. Yes. So, we're not trying to attack anybody.
Exactly. So some fintech products or companies have solved their problems. They have solved their problems, and it's very obvious. With the kind of users that, they are attracting into their product. And it's not only attracting, they are retaining.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think some other banks can actually learn from that. Yeah.
Okay, so let's take this to a different direction in terms of talent.
Yeah.
There is this fear that some of AI is going to affect some of this product design is one of those things that will be disrupted by AI or taken out of jobs. Or do you see that the other school of thought is saying that rather AI is going to help to make those who have the skills to get better? So which school of thought do you belong? Those who are saying that AI is going to take people out of their jobs and the creative designers, that are going to be product designers, going to take it out of their jobs? Or is it something that is going to help to enhance those who are the talents?
Okay, I'm going to be brutally frank. AI. I'm very much interested in AI and emerging technologies, and I love what AI is doing and all that. The truth is that AI is doing a lot of things right now.
Yes.
Let's bring it to what I do, design.
Okay.
All right. AI. There's a lot of things that, in design, that AI can actually do right now that ordinarily 5 years or 10 years ago, it would take you like time to achieve it. All right. AI can actually do simple wireframes right now in design. All right. Like if you sketch something, if you sketch an idea of an application and all that, you put it in an AI model, it brings up the wireframe for you. All right. Instead of you going to Figma and, doing the whole thing. All right. So I'm saying this to say what? There are things that AI are going to take from people, from creatives. All right.
Really?
Yeah. Like that is just the truth. You get. But there are some things it won't take from creative. And I used to tell my students that you need to learn the non-design aspect of design.
Wow.
Yes. So that AI will not take your job. Yes. So
interesting.
If you learn the non-design aspect of design, which includes developing your psychology in understanding people who you are designing for. Because AI cannot do your user research, and you're going to make a proper design decision from doing a proper user research. Now, when you do a proper user research, and let's say that AI is now doing proper designing screens and all that, who is going to feed it the information for it to design the screens? It is you, the human. Yes. So you're still retaining your job, but then AI is enhancing your job.
Yeah.
But when you focus on just using tools to deliver and design, AI will collect your job.
Wow. So still talking about the AI, which sector do you think is going to benefit more from this AI, intrusion into the product design?
I think fintech is flying with AI right now, and I'm happy for them. Yes. There's a whole lot of automation, artificial intelligence automation that is going on in the fintech. But I think there are other areas that need to benefit, especially let's bring it down to our continent, Africa. All right. Agriculture needs to benefit from AI and is benefiting from AI already.
Yeah.
In the healthcare sector, the same thing, okay, I'll talk about what we are working on recently, as in AI automation for for conversational intelligence, just to make sure that hospitals don't lose their patients or have a proper communication with their patients. So these are the things that AI do. In different industries, in healthcare, AI can improve in healthcare, in agriculture,
Yeah.
other sectors.
Wow, that's interesting. What do you think is the gap in terms of those to be mentored and the mentees and the mentors? Do you think there's a gap in the industry?
Yeah, I do see people who have talent everywhere around me.
Hmm.
People who can actually be very good designers, good product designers, and all that. All right, and some of them are good at what they do. Some have the potential to excel. But then there is a gap between them and actually like getting what they want in the industry. All right, let's say now there's one of my students that stayed up to I think 7 to 8 months after learning design, but she couldn't get a job.
Wow.
Yes, and it's not that she's not good.
Okay.
She's good. I mentored her, so she's good. So how I do help her is when I get gigs, I push to her
Yeah.
and all that. All right, till she got her first job. I think the issue is designers or new designers or people who are new in the industry of design need to actually like communicate a whole lot.
Okay.
Because let's say if you use the social media a whole lot, all right, it's going to project you more. All right. So social media is like a room full of people.
Yeah.
All right. Let's say in a room like this, and you're outside. All right. So you're going to hear the loudest noise because of the person who is in the room shouting the highest.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, that's how social media is.
Yeah.
You need to sell yourself. All right. You don't need to be timid at all.
Right.
Yeah, you need to sell yourself.
So you need to if you don't tell your stories, nobody will know. If you don't say something, nobody will know that you are there.
Exactly. So you need to. So if you have the skill, tell somebody that you have the skill. Tell people that you have the skill. All right. Now to bridge the gap is that you have the skill. All right. Reach out to people. Reach out to companies. Have a good portfolio. All right. Now, if we're talking about the portfolio aspect, all right. So I want to dig deep into this stuff a bit.
Yeah.
Some designers have a portfolio, but they feel that is okay. All right. Now the portfolio is like just it's like carousel of pictures
Yes.
of the things that they have done. But I do advise my students to actually have, as you're having a portfolio, make sure that your portfolio is not just pictures, it's a case study, and there's a difference. The portfolio is just the pictures. The case study is your thought process. All right, because hiring managers or CTOs, they want to see how your thought process translated into the pictures I'm seeing in your portfolio and all that.
Yeah.
All right. So when you just put in the pictures in your portfolio and there's no story behind it, all right, it becomes, as in, to me, if I'm hiring as a designer or a newbie, I feel like maybe it's just one of those things that maybe you just went to internet to copy and
This is important. I just want to separate the two. So if you're having the portfolio and the thought process, is it going to be on the same document or you separate it? Why I ask the question is because this is like your intellectual property, something you need to hold yourself, something you have to hold back, that when you're called in, this is what you present to make a case for yourself.
Okay. As a newbie, as a design newbie, I don't think you should have a personal website. There are platforms out there that you can showcase yourself, something like Behance.net,
Yeah.
all right, Dribble, all right. So don't
Or even as simple as LinkedIn.
So don't just be in your shell first, all right. So when you get to the senior level and you don't want people to see your thought process and all that, you can actually have a personal website. Myself, I have a personal website, So, but as you're starting out, just go on there, show yourself, show your case study and everything, all right. So it's very much okay because on there too, you're going to see people showcasing their case study. So you can learn from them, then they learn from you, and everybody wins.
This is just a fun, the kind of a fun aspect of question. Do you think that designers are kind of people who are, how do I put it, introverts? Designers are mostly introverts. They want to be to themselves. They don't want to, have interact with more people or something like that.
Okay. Actually, I'm an introvert myself, I guess. But I noticed in the long run, it doesn't pay. Yeah. So long as you're in this industry, you must relate with people. All right. You must relate with people. And the more you relate with people, the more you sell yourself. The more you sell yourself, the more chances you get at working on very nice products. All right. Yeah. So you can't just be all by yourself. All right. As much as you're an introvert, even if you don't talk to people, be very loud online.
Online, nobody knows how you say it, but you just drop something
exactly,
there.
Exactly.
Okay, so someone who has been into mentorship, what do you think separates the great, designers and those who get stuck on the way? What do you think is, that separates them?
Okay, I'm going to say this again. All right. The great designers are people who are curious, right? Who are, I wouldn't say loud, but at least they are projecting themselves. All right. Now, I've seen some of my students, people who are good at what they do, but they are not curious. All right. They always want you to reach out and tell them what to do and all that. And when you tell them what to do, they will do it perfectly and they are good. All right. Then there are those who are, I would say, design is not for everybody.
Of course.
All right. But you can teach yourself how to design. All right. You can force yourself to learn it. All right. There are people who are just average. Understand?
And they're satisfied with that level.
Yes. So, and there are people who are average, but then they are so curious, they are so inquisitive. They ask a lot of questions. They want to just know. All right. And with time, you notice that people who you thought that they were actually average, just because of how curious they are, how much they want to be out there and all that, they are doing better than the people who are actually the good ones. Yes. So this is the I would say the separating factor.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So I would just want to look at the soft skills.
Mm-hmm.
Talent is one thing.
Yeah.
Another thing is having the soft skills that will make the talent to last. So what are those soft skills you teach your students must have? I'll give you an instance. If someone in Nigeria, you have the internet, you get gigs abroad to work on. There are some talent, some soft skills you must have that will make you to deliver. If not, you keep missing your deadline, the rest of them.
Well, I think one of the first soft skills you need to have as a designer is empathy. It's different from sympathy. Yeah, sympathy is that I feel for you.
Yes.
Empathy is that I've been through this thing before. So if you're complaining of a pain,
yes,
I know what you're talking about. All right. So you need to develop empathy. Just go and look for empathy and develop it. Anywhere, just get it anywhere.
Just get it.
Yes, you need to develop empathy. So if you don't have empathy, you wouldn't have the patience to ask proper questions to users. And you should know that whatever you're designing for the user. You're not designing to satisfy yourself.
Great.
Yes. So you need to develop empathy to ask proper questions to users. If you're asking users how they feel about a particular product, you have used the product before. And if they mention a pain point, if you have experienced it before, it will hit you. You understand?
Of course.
Yeah, that is number one soft skill. Number two is communication. Communication is very vital. All right. There are some designers that they are good at what they do. But then, how do you interpret a product that you have designed right now to somebody who is not into tech? Yes, because there are stakeholders, or there are, there are founders that are not into tech. All right. So you need to communicate to them not as tech people, but as very neutral people. Communicate to them with very simple language. All right. Communicate to them your process of designing, how you did your research, the result of your research, the implication the research is going to have on the product. Communicate your thought process to them properly. All right. Yeah. And I think number three, these two are very key. Empathy, communication.
Yes.
Yeah. Also number three is speed. All right. speed is very paramount.
Great.
Yeah, there are companies you find yourself and they have zero tolerance for slow delivery. All right. So I'm not saying you should rush your work or
I get, yes.
but at least try as much as possible to deliver. All right. Because I was in an interview one time and the interviewer is a designer too. He asked me a question that what are you going to prioritize between, let's say, a stakeholder just gave you something to do.
Yes.
Would you prefer that you delivered the task, but there are mistakes, or you didn't deliver the task, but then the ones that you have done are perfect?
Okay.
Yeah, very tricky question.
Very tricky question.
Yeah. So I told him that because I've had that experience before. So
yes.
I told him that I'll deliver on the task, then present it. We go through it. He'll point out the corrections.
Yes.
Then we'll go and revisit it.
Yes.
Other than you did not meet up
At all.
and then maybe you, as in the ones you have done are perfect. All right. Some people might see it as incompetence from your own side.
Because deadline is important.
Very important.
Deadline is important.
Very important.
Because it affects a lot of things.
Exactly.
When deadlines are not met. Thank you so much for this conversation. From your own angle, so for some of the young people who are watching this podcast that want to be part of your mentorship, how can they come around? What do you have programs for them? Do you have platform through which they can get mentored?
I like in my free time, I go to some boot camps, and teach for free. I like to mentor, young designers
For free?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and I've worked for some international institutions where I get paid to teach and all that. Yeah. So, but giving my 2 hours, 3 hours to some boot camps, all right, just for free. Sometimes I just do that, to give back to the, to the tech industry. You understand? I'm doing that because when I was starting out, I taught myself. I did design in school.
Okay.
But then product design, I taught myself product design, and it was difficult.
Wow.
I was going on YouTube. I was looking for knowledge everywhere. All right. So I didn't have a mentor. So I don't want the young designers to be or to pass through what I passed through. All right. So I go to those boot camps, to those schools, to just teach them so that, and I give them my personal number so that when they experience anything, they can reach out to me directly. Yeah. So that's the problem I'm trying to solve.
So let's look at this a bit because it's important. You've first heard people say something like this that they taught themselves, but having mentor then, do you think it affected you in such a way that you have, maybe you have, moved faster than you are doing now if you had a mentor then?
I would have really moved faster if I had a mentor. I would have really moved faster because, as in if you're trying to navigate yourself in the industry all by yourself and all that, there are some very, very simple things that you would have known. And it becomes very difficult because as in you don't know where to find them. You don't know who to talk to and all that. And after so many research and all that, you just find out it's actually a very simple thing. You get, and as you're making time or as you're taking time to do the research and all that, time is going. So it's slowing you down and all that. Yeah.
So do you think there's something, because before now in the past 5 years, 6, 7, 10 years back, you hear about boot camps, opportunities for young people to go and learn. But now it's becoming, the market is shrinking, the opportunities are shrinking for young people to learn. Do you think companies need to devote more time, opportunities for these young people so that they don't complain that they don't have talent or don't have enough talent or don't have those who are skilled enough to fit into the job market?
Yeah, I think companies should do more in training. If you hire newbies, I think it's proper for companies to train them. All right, just do a mini boot camp. I call it mini boot camp because you can actually hire somebody who is in the industry to train them. Even if it's once a week, the person comes, train them and all that. With time, you will see that the people are improving, all right? And there's a metrics for this training, all right? And you watch their growth over time,
all
right? So when you see that these youngies are actually like growing. All right, you can easily like promote them. You understand? Instead of maybe looking to hire a professional,
Wow.
And let's say, the ratio of a professional to newbies is kind
Yeah.
of 1 to 10. All
Yeah.
right. And you need more hands maybe in your company and all that. So instead of maybe hiring one professional to do a lot of tasks, maybe if you hire newbies, all right, then hire a professional to train them in the industry, and they are good.
Thank you. So what excites you most about the product design in Africa?
Uh, you know, I would say tech generally is growing. Product design is growing alongside with it. All right. There are young people who are actually like, learning new things, and I go on forums like Medium.
Yeah.
I go on forums like Dribble, and I see their designs. All right. You agree with me that interfaces that we are seeing or we saw as of 2015 is
Yeah.
not the same interface that we're seeing now. And when you look at the people who are designing, they are very young people in their 18, 19, 20s and all that.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So they are really, really doing, they are catching up. All right. They are designing, their interfaces are are looking very much good. Now, we as the OGs are supposed to like maybe guide them into not only doing beautiful interfaces, but doing proper user experience that, users can actually like see their product and navigate with ease.
Thank you so much. As before we conclude this session, I just want to speak to the young Africans.
Okay.
The kind of mindset they need to have to develop, the industry, to grow in the industry, and to be able to be outstanding in the industry. What do you think? What do you suggest for them to succeed? We're in the era of get rich quick syndrome, and a lot of things happening. But this is here you are discussing about how you train yourself to become a professional in this area. So, what kind of mindset do you think young Africans need to have?
I think young Africans in tech and product design or design in general, they need to be very bold. They need to be very, very bold. All right. I've noticed that some tech people are very reserved. You understand? They need to be very bold, and whatever they are doing, they should build in public. All right. They should build in public. They should not, as in, I don't think they should take feedback as criticism or an attack. All right. As you're building in public, you are giving people room to criticize your work or give you feedback. All right. So if you're doing anything, if you are learning, if you're in a boot camp, you are learning. Like if you have designed your first interface, share with people. All right. Build in public. Show them what you have done. Tell them that this is my first week in boot camp and this is what I've done. All right. So, and they should be very bold. They shouldn't be scared to compete out there. All right. Yeah. So nobody's better than anybody. All right. Just keep learning. You will grow.
The answer is keep learning and you will grow. Nobody is better than you. You're the only person that can stop is yourself. Thank you so much, Lucky, for this very great conversation. We appreciate you for coming, and we believe that this is just a start of conversations. We're going to have more conversations we're going to have on this. Thank you so much. Well, the conversation is about product design in Africa. We have to design for ourselves. We have to design for our market because you understand our market, understand our people. And as a startup founder or a startup company, and while you're looking at raising funds, also think about how to make that product to be user friendly, because by that you're going to have those who are going to use it, and there is value for the investor, there is value for you, and the customer or the users also happy, there is value for them, and by that time everybody is happy, and that product or that startup will succeed. Thank you once again, Sigrid, and thank you once again.